You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast presented by Inside Arkansas and hosted by Andrew Ellis. It is a Monday. It is April 28th, and it is a new week. We are moving forward. I promise I'm in a much better headspace than I was yesterday. I was going through it a little bit, man. I mean, the Razorback baseball team was going through it. Always a little bit disappointing whenever you see your squad lose a series. That's now 3 in a row for Arkansas. Of course, the fan base is very much not happy with everything, and a lot of people who feel very vindicated for having a lot of concerns. And absolutely, I mean, you see those concerns come to life. It makes sense, but I think we all probably needed to sleep on it. We all probably needed to move forward and get our mind off of it, move on to other things, and understand that there's a lot of season left. There's a lot of baseball to be played, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on that baseball that Arkansas is going to play here down the stretch against some very, very good teams. But we kind of knew that was going to be the case no matter what. We knew that this team, once they got to June, whether they were the number 1 overall seed or whether they were the last team in the tournament, oddly enough, we've seen teams that fit both of those descriptions win the national title in the last 3 years, that being Tennessee last year and Ole Miss back in 2022. Regardless of where Arkansas was playing, whether it was at Baum, whether it was hosting a regional, whether it was going on the road like they did in 2022, we knew that there was going to be a lot of pressure on this Arkansas team in the month of June, and really just on the team for you're one of the most prominent programs in the country. You have a big, massive fan base that fills up an awesome stadium, an awesome park week in and week out, especially here down the stretch. I'm expecting that to really see an uptick. And they're starving. They're begging for a national title. And so the longer they go without one, the more agitated they get. And the fact that Arkansas has been so close and had so many teams that you felt like could be in that mix, it's completely understandable why the fan base is getting a little bit antsy. But again, we knew that was going to be the case no matter what. Even if Arkansas had won every single SEC series, if they had gone 25-5 in SEC play, hell, maybe even especially then, because then we would know for a fact this team can beat anyone, go out there and beat anyone in the postseason. But like I said, regardless of where they were at, there was going to be that pressure. We knew that Arkansas was going to need to find a way to dig deep in the biggest moments of this season, put the pieces together with your pitching staff, your starting pitching, your bullpen, your lineup top to bottom, put it together, go out there against the best in the country and see if you match up well. And that's what Arkansas has been doing here in SEC play. And they have, not to say they haven't matched up well, but they have not found a way to get the job done on these given weekends, and which is disappointing. And it causes for, a lot of concern, a lot of questions about anytime something happens and it doesn't go your way, you open yourself up to all the possibilities. That's kind of the game you play. Every time Dave Van Horn puts a pitcher in the game, and then that pitcher does whatever he does, if he doesn't get the job done, it was the wrong decision, no matter what. And obviously, of course, you can always justify the decisions if you're DVH or if you're Matt Hobbs or whoever it is that's doing all this. But that's just the rules. So it's a results-based industry. What you see is what you get. And in baseball, it's really not there. There's such a big sample size over the course of a season. And then, of course, in the postseason, whenever it gets determined, it's really hard to argue with the stats and what they are and the results and what happens on paper. And so, which makes it so fun to talk about is like, we're going to find out, like, does this Razorback team have the makeup to get to Omaha? Like, I still think yes on paper. In mentality, I do still think this is a program that doesn't shy away from adversity and is not like going to be really panicking too much, although they certainly have tensed up here in the last few weeks. I still think this team is capable of making that run, but we're not going to find out until we all find out together in June. And so as much tension, as much anxiety as there is right now, we're just getting started, boys. Like, strap in, buckle up. Like, it's going to be a roller coaster. It's already been a little bit of a roller coaster of a season. But we're gonna see how this thing plays out together. And I understand fully if some people are like, you know what, I just don't think this team has the pieces. I don't think they have the starting pitching. I think Nate Thompson's bad at his job. Like, I don't see a way they win the national title. So I'm just out. And you're more than entitled to like feel that way. Like, I'm not here to say like, no, you have to watch every game. You have to watch every Baumbastic. You have to agree with me and you have to see it how I see it. Like, you're more than well within your rights to do that. My question to, I guess, the general fan base is, are you sure Arkansas is like done? Like, you sure this is it? That they really can't overcome this? Because like we said, a lot of people have pointed to the schedule that they're about to face here in these next 3 weeks. You're facing 3 of arguably the top 7-8 teams. I don't know what they are in the rankings. I know Tennessee's lost a few series here, so they're right there around Arkansas. LSU just had a huge series win. I would assume they're in the top 5-ish range. Texas, of course, number 1. A lot of people have pointed to that to say that's why you couldn't afford to lose to Georgia, couldn't afford to lose to A&M, couldn't afford to lose to Florida because you're about to lose to these guys, which very well could end up being the truth. Like even if Arkansas plays good baseball, they could lose any single one of these series. They could also win any one of these, but a lot of people have pointed to that. But I see that as, like I said earlier, we're gonna find out. Like we're gonna someone's, it's not gonna be as simple as this team's the greatest team ever or this team's the worst team ever. Like there's a lot of nuance in between. I imagine we're gonna see a lot of that here in these next 9 SEC games. I would imagine Arkansas is probably gonna go something around 5-4. Like a lot of these games have come down to just a couple runs here and there. You're probably gonna see a little bit of that. And so, but when I look at this team big picture, like they're going to be tested in those moments, and it's up to them to kind of figure out that puzzle, figure out how to go into each weekend, find the combinations that work. Like I said, from a starting pitching standpoint, and I think when we look at this team big picture, that's a big piece of the equation. I mean, you have a starting pitcher in Zach Root and Landon Beidelshe's the number 1 and number 2 portal guys in the country. You go out and get them. You feel like that shores up a lot of what you've got going on with Gabe Gackle and Gage Wood coming back, which, by the way, those two combined for a pretty damn good day on Saturday, which is something that we just have not seen because Gage Wood's been unavailable and Gabe Gackle has not looked like the Gabe Gackle of old. But I think that's the big question mark. And so a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, how does this team move forward? Like, what's it going to take for this team to turn it around? Like, what do they need to fix? And weirdly enough, the fix is a weird term because I don't know if you can really fix it. You need guys to play better in certain contexts. And that's not my way of being like trying to like crack down on these players. And I'm not trying to incite the fans out there that take that as their opportunity to say, oh, wow, that guy didn't get the job done. Let me attack him. I'm not saying, hey, go tweet at Zach Root and go tweet at Landon Beidelshe's and be like, hey, you guys need to pitch better. But the way this team was constructed, it's similar to basketball. You have a roster of 8-9 guys, basically, and you have Nelly Davis, the number 1 portal guard in the country. You have Jonas Adu, the number 1 portal big in the country. If those guys don't give Arkansas good performances, Arkansas basketball didn't, it was going to be hard for them to win games. And you saw them lose a lot in conference play when those guys weren't playing well or when they were banged up, not available, whatever the case may be. And it's the same with Zach Root and Landon Beidelshe's. Like when those guys aren't able to give Arkansas good outings, and they weren't able to do it against a dangerous and a desperate Florida team who got a much needed series win the other day. And that sucks. And so when Arkansas has those contexts, it's going to be hard for Arkansas to win. And so you talk about the path forward, like having those guys pitch better. And I know, that proposition may stun some of you because you're like, well, I think those guys suck. So I think Arkansas is screwed. And hey, maybe that's just how this season, maybe that's just going to be the story of this season here. But I look at a guy in Zach Root who has, from a stuff standpoint, I don't know if you could craft a better arsenal in terms of just the mid-90s fastball, multiple different breaking balls, the cutter to throw him off balance, the changeup to throw to righties. Like, there's really not much more you could ask for. He's also, if you look at some of the draft guys, he's in that mix of the top 3 or 4 college arms. He's going to be a top 50, top 70 type of pick this summer, or at least based on the projections. That's not me as a scout, like giving you my take. That's just where I see all these lists. Hell, I've even seen him as high as like 16, 17, which I think that we all agree that's probably not going to happen. But he's one of the more highly respected guys in the draft. Like I said, he was the number 1 portal guy. You look at the stuff, kind of is there. You look at the strikeout numbers, it's there. He doesn't have a high walk rate. Opponents are only hitting about 230 against him. Like, you look at it on paper, he checks all the boxes of a guy that you would be perfectly fine with rolling out there on a Friday night. And we've seen him look like that guy on several occasions. To pitch better for this team. And I don't even think like Zach Root himself would disagree with that assessment. He's a guy that was brought in to do that kind of job. He was brought in to be a high-level arm. He's going to get drafted this summer as a high-level arm. Like, he understands what comes with that. And I don't think he's one to like shy away from that. It just hasn't gone well here the last few weeks. And I do think there's like a little bit of bad luck involved, a little bit of just some tough luck outings that maybe haven't gone his way. And so, look, I'm not here to like give you brilliant insight on what's it going to take for him specifically to figure it out and be the guy that we know he can be. But when you look at this Arkansas pitching staff, that's kind of the most clear path forward. Is some of the best pitchers on your team need to kind of perform that way. You can go on down the line. It's not just Zach Root. I mentioned Landon Beidelshe's there. You're starting to get Gage Wood back, which is a very good sign. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. But like there's no shortage of guys who maybe haven't given Arkansas what they're supposed to. And that's not me knocking those guys, just kind of the way it's played out in some cases. And, this coaching staff has to do a lot of tinkering with roles, and who knows, maybe there will be some move down the line where
whether it's Gacko going back in the rotation, Wood just kind of sticking in the rotation, or maybe they make the move with Aiden Jimenez. Like, I really don't know. Ben Bybee, like, you can kind of make your case for several different guys here. I don't know what that answer is going to end up being, but I think there's a collection of about 12 arms that are really high level that are going to pitch at the next levels and are going to have a chance to play baseball for a long time. Somewhere in there, you cannot tell me that somewhere in there is not a really good pitching staff, which, by the way, I should point out, I think they're number 3 or number 4 in the SEC in ERA now, and still top 10 nationally. And so it's like, and I've said this for a few weeks now, so it's still tough. It still rings true, but like, as bad as it seems and as bad as it can look at times, on paper, when you compare it to other teams, it's really not all that terrible. And speaking of that, to move off of the pitching side a little bit, I want to just pull up the SEC standings and just look at this. It's kind of fascinating. One, I mean, you see Texas having a just tremendous year. After yesterday's loss, I was watching Arkansas. I wasn't really tapped in on what was going on around the country. I saw later that LSU ended up beating Tennessee, finished off that series. But if you had told me right after the loss that Arkansas was still number 2 in the SEC, I don't know if I would have realized that off the top of my head. And I'm sure a lot of you who've been very upset probably look at this and they're like, oh, damn, Arkansas second in the SEC still. Of course, Arkansas accumulated a lot of those 14 wins you see there early against a couple bad teams, the 2 bottom ones there in South Carolina and Missouri. But you have a really impressive series win on the road against Ole Miss. You have a really impressive series sweep on the road at Vanderbilt. And then, it's kind of come back down to earth a little bit, and you've lost some tough series here against some of those other top teams. But it's kind of fascinating, man. You have to be really good in this league, or any single number of these teams. I mean, Arkansas just has recently lost series to the teams that are tied for 12th. And that's not because Arkansas sucks. It's just because this league is deep. This league can beat you up and break you down if you let it. If you don't believe me, just ask our boys over in Como, Missouri. It's really fascinating to see just how little separation there really is between bad and really good in this league. And I think, of course, Arkansas has seen that here in the last few weeks, but it is really kind of crazy when you look at it. Like I said, kind of with the pitching staff and the batting, where as many questions as we have about Arkansas's lineup, you look at it on paper, they've been as productive as literally anyone in the country. They're still leading the SEC in batting average, still leading the SEC in batting average with runners in scoring position. I think they're 3rd in the SEC in 2-out hitting percentage. Like, they're way up there in pretty much every metric offensively still after all these struggles here lately in this expose that apparently has happened. And then the same with the pitching staff. I've rattled off the numbers 1,000 times of how they're top 10 nationally in ERA, hits per 9 inning, strikeouts per 9 inning, walks per 9 inning, like whip, strikeout to walk, like whatever metric you want to use. And of course, it's been mostly the bullpen, but that's why it's like, that's why I'm like saying, are you really sure that this team that has lost a couple tough series here lately, been a thin margin for error, and they've been on the bad side of it, someone's got to lose, and that sucks. And I would love to see them win for sure. And I would definitely love to see them bounce back and just kind of respond really more from a big picture sense. But like, do you really think that there's not like a good baseball team in there somewhere that can go on a run, that can beat some really good teams? Maybe it is. And maybe they'll lose these next 3 series and I'll look like an idiot. And I'll just be like, oh, wow, you really believe that this roster, which just so happens to be the best one on paper ever, and is this collection full of guys that have like 26 draft picks on the roster, you thought they were going to play well? It's like, maybe I'll just be the asshole at that point. Like, yeah, sorry, I expected the number 1 pitcher in the portal to play pretty well for Arkansas. I expected, a 3rd-round pick in Brent Iredale to be pretty good. I expected a 1st-round shortstop in Viva. Like, yeah, we can play this game. Like, maybe I am just an idiot for thinking that there is a good baseball team in here somewhere. But it is tough to make that argument. And this is one of those times, like we as sports fans, we love to pump our chest whenever we're right. We love to hide away when we're wrong. Sometimes your team's just going through it and you got to wait it out. And the only question now is, how long is this going to last? How long until Arkansas can stop the bleeding and pick themselves off the floor, man? Because the fan base is really, their own fan base is really, really dunking on them a good bit. But I have no doubt those jeers will turn to cheers if Arkansas can play some good baseball in Baum Stadium this weekend. But we're not here to talk about this upcoming weekend. We're here to talk about last weekend. We're going to do our weekend winners segment here, which, I got to be honest, guys. I'm just going to be honest. I had to cut it down from 5 weekend winners to 4. This is tough. As much as everything I just said, defending this Razorback team and being like, it's really not that bad, and I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find 4 performances this weekend that I would classify as a win. But let's take a look at them.
So you see Camp Kojal there, who, if there is one silver lining from this week, you got Cam Kojal back to swinging it the way that he had, he was as dynamic as any bat in the lineup, as any bat in the SEC for a while there. He cooled off a little bit. I think he had like a 1-for-21 stretch or something, very quietly just kind of flew under the radar there. And of course had built his batting average up all the way to like 407 or something like that. So he could kind of afford it. He got back to swinging it really well this weekend, had a couple big home runs, drives in 5 runs and scores 2 more, has 2 home runs. It says 2 doubles. I think it was really just the 1 double. I think I may be capping a little bit there. But a really good weekend at the office for Cam Kojal. By the way, also did not get a start in one of those games, comes off the bench and has a pinch hit 2-run home run to make it a 6-0 game on Saturday there. That was big time. On the year now, Cam Kojal hitting 365. He has now cracked double-digit home runs. He is the 5th Razorback to do that, joining Vahivo Aloy with 17, Kahio Aloy with 11, Charles Davalon with 12. Let's see who else we got here. Oh, Brent Iredale with 11. Yeah. And so those are the 5 now with Cam Kojal joining them that are up there in SEC play, even after a little bit of a dry spell. Cam Kojal leading the team with a 388 batting average in league play, which is where 7 of those 10 home runs have come. I feel like it really all started with him cooking there in Vanderbilt whenever he went to his old stomping grounds. Of course, we had to have Gage Wood as a winner of the weekend, had 3 innings pitched, only allows 1 hit. It was a double down the left field line. Doesn't allow a run, does not walk anybody, and has 5 strikeouts. Once again, the velocity for Gage Wood was like through the roof. He touched 99, at least on the what's the term I'm looking for here? On the TV radar gun. I wasn't in the stadium. I didn't have TrackMan, but I saw a lot of 97, 98, 99. And he threw, I think it was like right over 40 pitches. DVH had said leading up to the series, maybe 40 pitches. And I think he threw like 43 or something like that. But he gets through 3 innings for Arkansas. Could not have asked for much more. Of course, it went a lot better than his outing last week where he only got 1 out. The fastball was electric. He landed his breaking pitch, got a few swings and misses with his breaking pitch even. And he was throwing that slider, man. He was throwing that slider like 90 to 92. And again, will he always have that much adrenaline, that much juice? I don't know. But I mean, Gage Wood, holy cow. Arkansas's got a lot of dudes on this team that can really throw the baseball, like Carson Wiggins, who, by the way, of course, I would be remiss. Let me just go ahead and get the Carson Wiggins thing out of the way now. That sucks. We're going to wait. Dave didn't sound super encouraged because it is the elbow. And anytime you have a young kid that is throwing the ball that hard, it's hard not to think that. Sending as many thoughts and prayers to the Wiggins family. Like, obviously, his brother, we saw him go through this as well. He's just now working his way back at the pro level. Really hate to hear that. Hate to see that for Carson Wiggins. Let's just pray that, let's just pray for the best possible situation. I don't know what that is, but obviously he's a very talented young kid and one that's going to end up playing some baseball for a really long time. We'll just see how it plays out for him, but fingers crossed with that situation. But of course, you have him throwing 102. You have Christian Fauch. He touched 100 a couple times this past weekend. He's always in that mix, 98 to 101, somewhere in that range. Gage Wood now creeping up there, 98, 99. Guys, I really don't think I understand that everyone, always says, oh, it's not all about velocity. And that's true. You have to do other things, have to throw other pitches, have to be able to locate. And that's what I thought was so cool about what Gage was doing. He's not just throwing 98, 99. They were right at the top of the zone. He got so many swings and misses with his fastball. One, because it has a ton of movement to it. But of course, he was just peppering that top of the zone. Even when he would miss high. So he wasn't leaving him over the plate. That fastball's hard to hit, man. It's like a damn BB. It looks like it's rising to the hitter, and you could see it even from the TV view behind home plate. You could just tell that is not an easy thing to hit. I mean, he would get swings and misses on some of his fastballs that were like 2 feet above the zone, and it doesn't really have that rising action. But whenever it has that crazy spin rate, it looks like it. And so this is a guy in Gage Wood, by the way, that when we've watched him in his career. He's always had a good fastball. He's always had some giddy up to it. Could get a tons of swings and misses, really good at the top of the zone. He was that way as a freshman when he was like 92, 93. Last year, he would kind of, occasionally get up there in the mid-90s, maybe 95, but it was still a lot of 92, 94 from Gage Wood. And his fastball was dominant at times in the past 2 seasons. Now we're talking to a kid that's a little bit older, a little bit stronger, and now that fastball's up 97, 98, 99, and it's got even more electricity to it. Like, I understand it's not just he's going to need more than that. And he showed a little bit, although I don't know where the big overhand breaking ball, when he was a freshman, he used to throw this high 70s spinner, this big breaking ball that I thought was like his best secondary pitch. I don't know where it's gone. We don't really see much of it. It's mostly fastball slider. I don't know if that's just a decision they made or maybe just because he's working his way back. I want to see that big breaking ball, see that real true 3-pitch mix. But that fastball is a freaking weapon, man. And I don't want people to gloss over that. There was a bunch of, you want to talk about premature victory laps. When Gage Wood didn't pitch well against A&M last week, made a couple mistakes, I had like so many people tweeting that were like, and I know I'm really running into an issue here where I keep letting weirdos online trigger me. But I had a lot of people that were like, I don't know why anybody expected Gage Wood to pitch well. Like, I mean, he throws meat, man, just throws meat right over the heart of the plate. Like, and I understand when you throw a pitch over the plate and Jace Laviolette hits it out of the park, it's easy to say that. You see that dude pitch against Florida and you saw some of the swings those dudes were taking. That is not meat. And that's not to say that Gage Wood is going to be flawless the rest of the year and that he's never going to give up his hits. He's not going to give up his home runs. But to say that the dude's throwing meat is just like an inaccurate representation. Dude, I had people, I'm not even kidding, preseason tell me that Gage Wood's fastball doesn't have enough movement on it. That was their big concern. They were like, I just don't think his fastball has movement on it. Dude's throwing the ball 100 miles an hour and getting swings and misses on pitches that are a foot above a dude's head. Like that ball's moving and it's moving pretty damn fast. Moving on to our other winners of the weekend. Aiden Jimenez threw the ball well. It was like a vintage, like classic Aiden Jimenez outing. Gives up a couple base hits. Nothing too crazy. Got Gabe Gackle out of a huge jam. He came in, I guess it was the 7th inning where Aiden Jimenez came in with one runner on, two runners on and one out. And it was a 6-0 game. A lot was made about that decision. And look, in hindsight, I'm sure Dave maybe would have wanted to do it a little bit differently, especially with how Sunday played out. But I think Arkansas had the mentality of they needed to win on Saturday. They knew how important that game was, and they didn't want to let it slip away. Went right to your guy, no messing around. He ends up getting the job done, throwing about 36 pitches, just under 3 innings, gets out of that jam. Arkansas ends up winning 7-0. And I guess Aiden Jimenez gets the save. It's just unfortunate that you basically ran out of arms on Sunday when you have Landon Beidelshees only goes 2 innings. Ben Bybee's only able to give you an inning and 2/3. Carson Wiggins is only able to throw 4 pitches before he leaves with an injury. With the way it played out, I understand the frustration of not having Jimenez available. But the reason I have him as a winner of the weekend is because he pitched really well. He lowered his ERA back below 2 for the year. He's at 1.88 in SEC play. Now he gave up a couple runs in SEC play last week to A&M, but in SEC play, Aiden Jimenez has thrown 22 2/3 innings. Has 24 strikeouts, 1 singular walk, and has a 1.59 ERA. He is 3-1 with a save. I mean, that's just big time stuff. And the reason I have him as a winner of the weekend, again, of course, he threw the ball really well. He's put together. He's a nice bounce back outing. He gave up his runs for the first time in over a month, and it's like, oh damn, is the jig up? Have they figured him out? Good to see him bounce back and dispel any of that talk. But also the way that the weekend played out, Aiden Jimenez kind of gets to play the role of the hero because he was the guy that everybody wanted in the game on Sunday, which, by the way, everyone is correct for wanting Aiden Jimenez in the game when the game is on the line. That's kind of all along why I've been saying don't use him as a starter because you kind of would lose that. But then again, you have a weekend like this where you end up only getting 2 2/3 out of him. If he had started a game, he would have gone 5-6 innings maybe, and that would have maybe been the difference in the series. So that is me publicly admitting this weekend is now the first time that I'm like, you know what? Maybe they do just need to start Aiden Jimenez, particularly like, and I talked a lot about Zach Root, and I feel bad because I love Zach Root, and I hope that it doesn't come across as me being anti Zach Root. I do think he is going to be a big piece for Arkansas down the stretch and is going to pitch better. But if you're not going to get any consistency from Zach Root, which is kind of what he was brought in to bring, you really might be forced to go to the Aiden Jimenez thing. Ultimately, I would love to see just Zach Root step up, Landon Beidelshees get back to being, 4 or 5 inning guy, and then have Jimenez. And then in the postseason, you could really ramp up his usage rate as long as you keep him healthy. But I have him as a winner of the weekend for his performance, how good he is, how good he's been in SEC play, but also because, the backup quarterback is always the most popular player on the team. On Sunday, when he was not available, all the Hog fans were begging for Aiden Jimenez, which is, it's cool to see, and they're right to do so. But I also just felt like he had a good PR weekend overall. That must be a nice. When I was pitching growing up, my senior year, I got to start games. I had to work hard to get to the point where I could start a few games. But back in the day when I was just like pitching in relief, I remember when I would pitch in relief, the next day was like the best day ever because I knew I wasn't pitching. I knew I could goof around in the dugout, start chants, and eat sunflower seeds, kick my feet up and relax because I wasn't pitching, which of course you get that whenever you know you're not starting. But as a reliever, you never know. You might have to go into any game. So it's always nice when you're not available. And so while everybody's, saying, oh, we need Aiden Jimenez, and I'm over here telling people, oh yeah, he'll pitch in this game. It's all fine. He's over there just kicked up, got some shades on, just hanging out. Love that. Last winner of the weekend for me is Christian Fauch, who, by the way, I talked about the Carson Wiggins thing. That is a big blow for Arkansas. What it also does, and I'm not making Christian Fauch a winner of the weekend because of this. I'm really not trying to do anything weird here, like celebrate or make, look for a silver lining or anything. But what it is going to create is a potential void at the back end of the bullpen for a right-handed arm like Christian Fauch, a high velocity guy to come in there and maybe get some closing opportunities, maybe get some setup opportunities. And we've seen him kind of inch his way closer to high leverage outings. I think Arkansas was down 2 whenever they brought Christian Fauch in after Dylan Carter the other day. So it was like semi high leverage, but I think with Wiggins potentially out, I think you're going to see Fauch get right back into a big time role. And you see the numbers there, an inning and 2/3, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts, touched 100 a few times, got some swings and misses, got a strikeout with a splitter. When he pitches that way, it's very easy to see the vision of what Arkansas sees in Fauch and what they were trying to make happen. And I understand, look, when a guy doesn't pitch well, it's easy to say, well, what the hell? Why do they keep throwing this guy that's throwing 100? Well, because there's a very talented, very big, potential arm in there for you. It's why Arkansas is continuing to try and work Hunter Dietz into action, trying to still invest in him because he's an arm that can really help your team when things are really going well. And I think Christian Fauch, he gave up a run or two against A&M last week. And I still, even in those outings, thought he threw the ball well. Ever since, I guess it was that Georgia series where he came in and threw an inning and 2/3 and struck out 5. Christian Fauch is, I don't know if I want to say turn the corner, but for about a month now, he's been throwing the ball really well, throwing with a lot more purpose, throwing more strikes. I would never say he's like a big time plus command guy by any stretch of the imagination. And it's really it's a 2-pitch mix, but it's really like 80% fastball, occasional splitter. But it's, for what they're asking him to do, just get 1 inning, maybe an inning and a third, inning and 2/3, maybe 2 innings if everything's rolling well. I think he can do that. He threw 22 pitches the other day. He's a guy that can come in and give you 25, 30 pitches and really give some teams fits. I mean, we saw Arkansas struggle a ton with velocity, with high velocity right-handed pitchers this weekend. Christian Fauch is that kind of guy that can shut down a powerful lineup. That's what he did against Georgia. That's what he did against Florida. That's really impressive stuff, man. I think that's something that he can potentially build on. So as you know, I have my 4 winners of the weekend and had to remove the 5th spot because we couldn't find one. But I do, before we close the show, want to give a shout out to some Pro Hogs. Matter of fact, before I do that, the winner of the weekend is, or just the winner in general, Mary Ellen Brown. Do y'all know that name? If you don't know that name, you should. She's a Razorback fan. I believe she's a student at the U of A. And she's just a diehard Razorback fan. I've been following her on Twitter for years. Just a big time, stats nerd, a baseball junkie, always tweeting about baseball, following the Razorbacks. She tweets good stuff about the Razorbacks, but she also is great, really good. And I lean on her a ton during these segments for Pro Hog stuff. She's very good about retweeting, the team accounts that post the home run. Like Jared Wagner hits a home run, she's retweeting the Somerset, Twitter account. She always will do like little, I'll pull them up here. She does these little like mini hog or MILB highlight of the day where she highlights some of these performances. You see Dominic Fletcher in there, Caden Wallace, Connor Nolan, Kevin Cobbs. She does a lot of these. Dominic Fletcher, who by the way has been swinging it really well. But she is the easiest way. Of course, I'll try to give these guys some love as much as I can. But if you want to really like get, not every single moment of the day updates, but throughout the week, you kind of just want to check in, see what's going on with the Pro Hogs. She is a really good follow. Let me pull that back up. What's her at name? MLN723. So yeah, go check her out on Twitter. She's a great follow just for baseball in general, for Arkansas baseball, but specifically the Pro Hog stuff. She's really good. But I also wanted to, just before we get out here again, highlight just a few performances. So Caden Monk, by the way, made his Double-A debut. He is back in Northwest Arkansas. So if you see tall, skinny, left-handed dude walking around, that's probably Caden Monk in Northwest Arkansas. And we're happy to have him here. He's battled back from some injuries. He's now made 4 appearances for the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. How did he do in those outings? It doesn't matter. That's not what we're here to talk about. I just wanted to commend him on his journey. We wish him the best of luck. And I'm going to be getting to our best ballpark soon to go see him. I love going to just an occasional minor league baseball game. If you live, whether you're in Northwest Arkansas, Central Arkansas, or wherever, if you live anywhere near minor league baseball, you got to make like a once every 7-8 weeks appearance at least. Thirsty Thursday is good, but go check those guys out. I'm definitely gonna have to go dabble in a Thirsty Thursday, and hopefully Caden Wallace will pitch. But he's made his AA debut, so want to shout out to him. A couple other guys who are in AA. Hagen Smith, you guys know him. So he's made 4 starts so far this year, only thrown 13 2/3, and he had one outing where he like left after like 5 outs or something like that. I don't know if something weird happened. He has a 2.63 ERA. He's thrown 13 2/3 innings, like I said, 25 strikeouts and 10 walks. So basically 2 strikeouts every inning, but also damn near a walk an inning. And so if that ain't Hagen Smith, then I don't know what is. I tell you, there's a lot of Razorbacks in AA baseball. A lot of, and it's like weird to look at it because it's like over the years of AA baseball, like Matt Cronin, 2018, 2019 legend, he's in AA and he's playing with Caleb Cali, who played at Arkansas in 2023. So it's cool to see the like crossing of paths. Casey Martin is no longer playing pro baseball, but or at least not in the Phillies organization. Him and Robert Moore crossed paths for a little bit and they played together at Arkansas, of course, but it's always cool to see like just a different, like Matt Reynolds when he was playing, kind of hanging on, still playing AAA ball, and you'd have like Isaiah Campbell versus Matt Reynolds. And it's like as a Razorback baseball junkie, like it really is cool to see stuff like that. But of all the guys in AA, and like I said, there's a lot, that entire 2023 outfield, that entire team, Josenberger, Cali, Jared Wagner, Jace Borfin, they're all in AA. Casey Opitz is in AA. Like Arkansas's got a ton of dudes who are just kind of in that mix in AA. And of course, Hagen Smith, you got some other arms in there. The hitter who is performing the best so far for Arkansas this year in AA is Robert Moore. And again, he's with the Reading Fighting Phils, hitting 290 with a couple home runs, drawing a ton of walks. And he's been playing second base, third base, and shortstop. He's got starts at all 3 positions. He's even started a couple games at DH as well. Of course, switch hitter, just a weird, unique prospect. Starting to swing the bat really well, man. He's always had some like sneaky pop. I mean, he hit 16 home runs that one year at Arkansas. You know, he can, there's like a little bit of dynamic, power in that bat. As a professional player, it's harder to do it with a wood bat. And of course, he's not the largest guy, but he's slugging the ball pretty well right now. I think that's a very encouraging sign. And of course, that defensive versatility is really going to be what makes him his money. Robert Moore looks like he's very well on track to playing big league baseball. So, he's escaping the bum allegations. He's escaping the nepotism allegations because he's earning his way through this system, man. Hitting 290 at the AA level, even if you're 30 years old, that's hard to do. And Robert Moore's still very young. I mean, he was young when he was at Arkansas, got drafted when he was like 20. This is a guy that's still very early in his career. Like he's gonna be playing baseball for a long time, man. And that's why they call him Bob Moore ball player. He is a ball player, and he's gonna be playing for a really long time. Another guy who I think is gonna be playing for a long time, last one we'll talk about, is Dominic Fletcher, who's he's in AAA right now. He's made his big league debut, made it with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then got traded to the White Sox. Kind of went back and forth last year. I imagine he will play some in the big leagues this year, but he started the year in AAA. You need to get Andrew Benintendi out of there because Andrew Benintendi's holding up Dominic Fletcher's spot right now, and he's playing with the MLB White Sox. But Dominic Fletcher in AA so far is hitting 288, 4 home runs, 3 doubles, and a triple, which is a slugging percentage of 546, which if you don't know is very good. Very notable. I mean, you remember Dominic Fletcher. You remember his great defense. You remember, good athlete, a tough at-bat, left-handed bat. Had a ton of power. Like that was always a big thing, big part of his game. I mean, he's had some of the longest home runs in Omaha that we've ever seen from an Arkansas player. I'll never forget that one he hit against Brady Singer in the semifinals. Had a big one against Texas Tech. Like he's always hit double-digit home runs in back-to-back years at Arkansas. Like he's got some power for real. In 100 MLB games, Dominic Fletcher has only hit 3 home runs, and so I think kind of tapping into that power that we already know is there. And he's also only hitting like 206, 210 in the MLB. It's really hard to hit in the big leagues if you guys didn't know. But I think him hitting for so much power in AAA with, 8 extra base hits already on the young season, like that's a really good sign for his future. And so we'll wish him well in his journey. I have no doubt he'll be back in the big leagues really soon. And that's all we got for you today. It's a little bit of a loaded show. Also apologize for my audio being really bad there for like 5 minutes. It's a long story. I'm going to blame my producer. But I'm blaming my producer, so I apologize for the audio. I know I'm going to get like 7 comments about it, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me, sticking here to the end. For those of you that made it, let's have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow. Arkansas may or may not play baseball in Springfield tomorrow against Missouri State. If they do, we'll have a video. If they don't, we'll have a video on Wednesday. So be on the lookout. Check that out, and appreciate you guys for always tapping in and always supporting. I'll see you guys on the way to Omaha, all right? Let's have a great week. Good vibes. Arkansas baseball is on the way back.